warehouse.
How'd you like it though? Did you like working there?
The thing is that me and you, we've worked at a warehouse before, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much the same. It's the same thing. I mean, if there's a container in the warehouse, parked outside the warehouse, stationed at the warehouse, our basic job is to just unload boxes from these containers. It's the very it's the most basic job you could have.
Yeah.
You know, Dr. Jordan Peterson, he actually talked about this. He rated jobs and careers on a scale, and he rated warehouseman as basically the lowest job you can have in the United States.
Yeah, man. And I could see why. Like,
I mean, yeah, we went to an employment agency.
exactly. And the people that we work with are most of the time ex felons, you know, or they're
Yeah.
undocumented workers. So for us to be there amongst them, it's like crazy, you know. It's just a shock. Like, especially for me, I felt a shock. I had never been around those type of people, you know.
Yeah.
But overall,
Well, we can't say that everyone's bad either, because I mean, the thing I liked most about this warehouse, as opposed to the one we worked at in the first time we worked together, was that the people there were actually pretty cool, you know. Shout out to Sergio, that's subscribed to this channel right now, that's gonna watch this in the future. Shout out to Sergio. Shout out to Jesus, you know, all the fucking people that subscribed to my channel right before I was
shout out to Sid.
He's now behind bars.
Nah, he's out there, man. He's out there swimming.
All right, so no, but yeah, working at a warehouse is pretty. It's interesting. It gives you a lot of context. It gives you experience of what the real world is and what kind of job you could be expected to have if you don't go to college.
It's a real eye opener, man.
Yeah.
You know? Like, after my first year of college, I was really contemplating whether or not to drop out. And,
Yeah.
During that summer break, I told myself,
let's not talk about this as if it's just you, because we were both going through this whole shit, and we decided.
Yeah.
We decided to get. Well, tell the story if you want.
man. Well, me and the Jaybird, man, we were really not liking the whole college experience our first year.
We talked about this before in the previous podcast.
Yeah.
We were having trouble in our first year of college.
Yeah, we were fucking up with our classes and shit, and just overall fucking up. You know, we weren't on a set path towards success. We were trying to find ourselves, basically.
Yeah.
So summer came, we were happy that we were done with school. We're like, fuck it, you know, let's go find work, let's go make some money, because that's what was in our minds, you know, let's go make money. And another friend of mine had recommended me to go to an agency, and he said that in agencies you sign up that day, and that same day you're hired.
You know, and that it's actually pretty interesting, because a lot of people ask you, how'd you get here, like what agency, when you work at a warehouse, they ask you, oh, what agency are you from, or how'd you find out about the warehouse job.
That's kind of what sets your reputation, you know.
Yeah.
What agency did you come from?
You know,
all right.
if you had a bad background, it's like, oh, I just got out of jail, you know, this is the only job I could find, or, you know, let's say, for example, or someone's like very, very old and they can't necessarily do or have a job where it requires, you know, a younger physique, you know.
Yeah.
So they could just find, I mean, people that need a job are gonna find it at warehouses.
Exactly, man. And warehouse work, it's like, it's never permanent. Like for people who are just looking for a quick job, you know. For those who basically set their lives working there, then it's tough, because they lay you off and you got to go somewhere else, and it's just crazy, you know. It's a fucked up experience overall. Like it feels like they use you, and after they're done using you, they let you go, and then you're off to find another warehouse, you know.
My Chicano studies professor, he gave this a name. It was called flexible labor, and it makes sense when you hear the word flexible labor, or the phrase flexible labor. It makes sense when you have this experience, you know.
Yeah.
Because it really does feel like they could just take advantage of you and then leave you whenever they want, you know.
Yeah, but luckily, at the last warehouse that I worked during this past summer, I was pretty cool with the manager and shit.
Definitely, man. I had a good experience at this warehouse, man. All the people there were pretty cool. Everyone had a sense of camaraderie. The warehouse owner, Jimmy, man, he wasn't a bad guy, you know, but he had to let go of workers because it was like that. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of work, and you know, people just had to be let go.
Yeah, man. Like regarding the whole situation of working and going to school, like the manager there, he asked me, he's like, "Oh, are you down to work here part time while you're going to school?" I was like, "Yeah, fuck it." So just the fact that I was able to create that relationship with this guy, you know, that I didn't even know, was just cool. And then it kind of did open up some doors for me, but it's not like I want to work there my whole life, you know. It's just in between, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, the thing about when you go to an employment agency, when you're gonna, the thing is, if you go to an employment agency, they're more than likely gonna give you a warehouse job, right? That's the position. They ask you for your the what position you want to work. You know, if can you drive a forklift? Either way, you're gonna be in a warehouse. It just depends whether you're gonna walk in as just a regular worker, or if you're gonna walk in as a forklift man, or if you're gonna work in the office. But either way, you're gonna work at a warehouse.
The thing was that before going to an agency, I thought that the spectrum of work was diversified, you know. I was like, oh, I wonder where they're gonna send me. I didn't know that all avenues led to warehouse, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like disappointing, kind of, because like when you get bored of doing the warehouse work, you hope that the agency will hook you up with something better.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
they're just gonna send you to a different warehouse, and it's just a cycle, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
the warehouse job, they give it to you the day of. So you go to the employment agency, and because there's so many warehouses, they give you the job that day. They ask you, can you work today? Like, do you have anything planned, basically? Like, are you gonna go see your girlfriend, or are you gonna go do this and that, or whatever? And if not, we could give you the job today.
Yeah.
So they write down the address for you. They tell you, this is where you gotta go, this is who you gotta speak to, and then just like that, you're working at a warehouse the same day. They ask you how much you could lift. If you can't lift that heavy, you know, they might not give you a job where, I don't know, maybe you're unloading all day.
Yeah. I feel that that's kind of they try to fuck with you in that sense, because they ask you, oh, could you lift 50 pounds? You're like, well, of course I could lift 50 pounds.
Yeah,
what the fuck? Like, it makes you just feel engaged to the labor already. You're like, yeah, what the fuck? Like, I could do that. It's easy, you know? But after doing it and doing it and doing it, it starts taking a toll on your body.
This entire quarter, man, I was just unloading refrigerators. I was unloading wine coolers, you know, heavy shit.
Yeah.
I was unloading heavy shit the last 10 weeks, basically, because it consumed all of my quarter two in my third year of college. And I was just unloading heavy shit, you know?
Yeah,
it's
man.
just it's hard labor, and they pay you bare minimum, you know?
Yeah, man. I actually worked a 19-hour shift this summer.
Fuck.
And this happened on a Tuesday, and on Wednesday I worked another 10 hours, and then that following Thursday I worked another 15. So it's like, it's cool because you feel like, oh, I'm getting money, I'm doing something, but at the end of the day, they're paying you the bare minimum, and you're out there killing yourself and just making money for the company, you know?
Yeah.
But they're not really.
Yeah, so when I got fired today, man, I wasn't too upset, because it was literally like leaving a relationship that you had been having problems with for a long time already. It's like,
man, I know that feeling.
It's just like, it was kind of like alleviating, like, I don't have to deal with this no more.
It's like when they don't call you into work, you're just like,
chill,
you know, I gotta go chill.
Like, you know, you didn't like working there, you know, either way, so it's like you don't really completely lose everything. I mean, if I was a CEO of Apple, and they're like, you know what, the board has decided we're gonna have to let you go, it's better for the corporation to function without you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what the fuck? This is my company.
Yeah,
I raised this shit.
What do you think it is, though, that no matter how much you don't like something, you'll still show up? You know, like your conscience kind of eats at you if you don't show up. It's kind of like, you could apply this to class. Like, if you wake up one morning and you're like, I don't want to go, and you don't go, you're just thinking about it the rest of the day, you know?
Yeah.
But like, for work, it's truly fucked up. But for some reason, I would still get up and go.
Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning. You think about it every day. Like, you're just you're like, fuck, what if I just don't go today? Or like, when you're at work, you're like, what if I just walk out?
You can.
Yeah,
you can just walk out.
Today was actually the hardest day of all the fucking time I had ever been there. And it's funny because the way I put it was like, it was kind of like my culmination, like my fucking rite of passage out of there, you know?
Hell yeah.
Like, I had the hardest day today.
God bless.
I unloaded a whole container in 1 hour. 1 fucking hour.
Are the materials in the container like together or they're separate? Like,
oh, the
it's
thing is,
mostly
it was
boxes
just
or
one
what?
item. It was just one item, and the boxes were all the same. But I mean, it was hard, man. We were. The thing is that the guy that I was working with in the container, he was working my ass. He was like, fucking. He was on it, you know. And I couldn't just slack because when you're loading a pallet with boxes and it's just you and another guy, you kind of like you. It's not a. You guys don't talk about it, but like you guys kind of split the pallet in half.
Yeah.
And like he's in charge of one side and then you're in charge of the other side. So he was kind of like putting the pressure on me, you know. And then by the end of that container, man, I was out of breath. I was sweating. I was like, and while I was unloading the container, I was like, what if I just walk out? Like they can't tell me shit. I could just walk out. I'm like, I'm getting worked, you know, man. I'm sweating. I'm fucking out of breath, and I'm gonna get paid minimum wage, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, what if I just walk out of here? I could literally. I was just looking outside of the container, like the whole of the container. You know, you could see the light kind of just filtering into the container. You're like, fuck, that's freedom right there. You know what I mean? I was like, I could just walk out of here. But, I mean, I didn't, and I finished the container. It's weird. I don't know what it is.
The one thing that shocked me the most about my whole experience working at a warehouse and engaging with, like, different types of people was how some of those people really take their work serious. Like, they really want to get the job done.
Oh, yeah, man. I know what you mean.
Not only get it done, but get it done in an efficient manner.
Exactly. And they're getting paid the same as you are.
Exactly.
It's weird. Like, they have this attachment to their job. Like, they actually have a moral duty to execute this job the best way possible.
I just kept thinking about that every day that I showed up. I'm like, why do these guys kill themselves or want to kill themselves if we're all getting paid the same?
And they get stressed, man. And they get stressed. Like, if, let's say, for example, they're missing an item. Like, after we finished one of these other containers, we were just, like, literally unwrapping pallets to find one box.
Oh, man.
And we were transferring to different pallets. We were just looking for one box out of, like, these small-ass boxes. And I'm like, why the fuck does this matter to everyone so much?
Man, I was notorious at losing shit. Because
Hey, tell me about that, man.
you're checking, like, basically, there's a group of guys, usually 4 per container.
Yeah.
2 of them are unloading. Well, for my warehouse, 2 of them are unloading the container. Another person
On the forklift?
No, by hand.
Oh, okay. So
All the items are like individual.
Oh, so you weren't loading on pallets?
No. It was more fucked up, man, because there was couches, mattresses,
Fuck.
chairs, heavy ass boxes. So everything has to be brought out like individually.
Yeah.
So there's 2 people bringing shit down, you know, taking it out. There's one person stacking all the stuff we take out into a wooden crate. So the people take it out, they take it to the person, and that person they stack it in the wooden crate, and the crate is then put away in storage.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So what I would do was I'd fuck with them, and I'd be like, oh, they told me that I need to be the checker, that I'm in charge of this group, and I'm gonna do all the checking, you know. But nobody told me shit. I just gave myself that position because I didn't want to be lifting and shit. So every item is labeled. Every item is on record.
On record.
And every item that exits the container has to be checked.
Yes, I know what you mean. We had just recently moved away from using paper to using
the scanners.
Yeah, the scanners.
The scanners, man.
Putting it on that one. What's Microsoft Excel? No, Excel. Yeah, Excel. The one with all the spreadsheets.
Yeah, we had an app though. It was called Moving Pro. So you basically just sign in.
Yeah.
So that everything traces back to you, and you just scan. You know.
Everything's labeled, and if it's not, your job is labeled as shit.
Look, man, I was fucking up so much because I really didn't give a fuck. I was fucking up so much that they had to change their whole policy about the way that they deal with labeling and shit. So after whoever checked the spreadsheet or whatever, they had to sign it at the bottom so that if something's missing, they know who to blame. But I wouldn't sign it, man. Fuck that shit.
Oh yeah, they did the same thing for us when right after we finish a container, they ask who did this container, and they'd be like, oh well, this guy and Jason, you know. Okay, put your names down. So then we put our names down, and now if anything's missing or if anything's like stolen, then they know who to talk to, right?
Yeah.
The thing about warehouses though is that the reason there's always going to be jobs in warehouses, and I could literally, if I wanted to tomorrow, get a job at a warehouse,
At a different one.
at a different warehouse. I could just go to the employment agency. They'll give me a job tomorrow.
Yeah.
The reason that that's the case, you know why, right? You know why? I mean, it's obvious to people like me and you, but maybe not to people out there that have never worked at a warehouse. If you literally just look around you, you're gonna find a warehouse. There's warehouses
you know what?
all over the place,
That's
man.
what I've been noticing, man. You enter Vernon, nothing but warehouses. You're on
yeah.
the freeway. If you look to your right, warehouses. If you look to your left, warehouses. I'm like, man.
It's because there's a lot of fucking shit.
What a business, man.
There's a lot of shit in this fucking world. A lot of products. I mean, everything that you can see all around you has at one moment in time been in a fucking box.
And has been
in a fucking container
moved
and
by somebody.
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
someone. Everything that you own, anything that you buy, this fucking cup right here, the monster that I'm drinking, the microphones,
The
everything,
mics.
the TVs, everything around us has been in a warehouse at one point in time.
Exactly.
That's why when you're driving down the freeway, you're always going to see large containers. I mean, you've seen the evergreen containers on the freeway, all those containers. There's always containers on the freeway because there's always a warehouse. There's a lot of fucking warehouses for them to go to.
Yeah, man.
That's why they say being a trucker is a good job. It's not as bad as it sounds because you're always gonna have a job and they pay pretty well.
Yeah, man. But the thing about that is that the people that I worked with, that was basically their dream. You know,
Their dream?
They're like, I'm working here right now, but my dream or my goal, not dream, my goal is to become a truck driver. Like,
oh yeah, I've heard that too.
They want to be the truck driver. You know, they're tired of doing all the labor. They want to be the truck driver. It seems easier, but I don't feel it is, man. I feel it's more fucked up than being at the warehouse. Cause at the end of the day of the warehouse, you're able to go home. You know, you're able to chill.
Yeah.
Do whatever the fuck you want. Truck drivers, they become connected to the truck. Like, they become part of the machine. They're basically on the road for 12 hours driving in the truck. When it comes time for them to sleep, they're still in the truck.
Fucking truck. Yeah,
It's
I've never thought about it like that actually.
It's pretty fucking boring, man. And
Yeah.
the fact that, like, who was it? Who's the guy that's running for president that was on the Joe Rogan podcast?
Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang. He mentioned that there's a deficit in truck driver employment.
Seriously?
That there's not enough truck drivers. There's so many warehouses, just as much manual labor that warehouses need. They also need the truckers, you know. There's not enough truckers to fulfill all the shit that needs to be moved around, man. So, but overall, anything that's connected to warehouse labor, it's kind of, it takes a toll on your body,
Oh
man.
yeah, man, dude. And like people talk about people that work at McDonald's and that, like, I don't know, there's a large statistic of people that have worked at McDonald's or there's a large statistic that says that at one point in your life you're really likely to work at McDonald's, but I feel like you're even more likely to work at a warehouse than to be working at like McDonald's.
McDonald's requires more shit, you know. You need to get an interview, file some sort of resume. Warehouse, you go, you sign up, you're
Boom.
out.
Yeah, exactly, man. You mean, and it's the worst job for the pay, I think, in my opinion. Like, you're doing the hardest kind of fucking labor for the very bare minimum. Like, you're just unloading heavy shit all day. You know, you have to take shit from people, and at the end of the day, you're just getting paid like literally $11 an hour after taxes.
Yeah, that's the most fucked up part, because while we would be unloading the fucking containers, you know, the manager's just in the fucking office, AC.
Oh yeah.
I was working during the summer, man. Those fucking containers were hot. I was pouring, man. I was sweating so much. And, you know, we're working, we're doing our shit. He comes around, he's like, why the fuck you fools? I can't believe you fools aren't done. You know, he'll start shitting on us. I'm like, what the fuck you mean?
Or
man?
like the first warehouse we would work out, the fucking boss was always on our ass, checking us if we're doing our job. And like, he literally worked us to the point where he'd have to pull us out to get water.
Oh yeah.
Because he wouldn't tell us stop or anything like that. He'd be like, he'd see someone who's dehydrated, someone who's overworked. He'd be like, hey, you over here, come get some water. I don't want you to pass out.
Water,
I don't want you to pass out in my fucking warehouse and sue me. You know, it's fucked up. And that's why democratic socialism right now is really popular, because Bernie Sanders is promising worker co-ops. And I've talked about that. Have you heard about it?
The shit is that when Trump says that he's improved the unemployment rate and he's opening a lot of jobs, keeping business here in America, that means warehouses, you know? Companies, businesses, keep businesses in America, made in America. That all requires warehouses.
That's why when they say we're gonna make new jobs, they're talking about warehouses.
Jobs,
yeah,
man, trucking jobs, warehouse
Yeah.
jobs, cleaning up the warehouse. Like it's just it sounds promising, but at the end of the day, it's just it's nothing really extraordinary. You know, it's not a
Yeah.
fucking. They're not promising you like office jobs or shit like that.
yeah,
All these new jobs that are coming into the workplace that are contributing to the economy are warehouse jobs. You know.
yeah.
And that's kind of what they don't mention in the news, and what kind of bugs me, you know, that
Yep.
they take this pride, like, oh, I'm doing all this shit, I'm the reason that all these jobs are coming into play, but they're warehouse jobs, you know.
Yeah, the labor force has to be considered into the equation when you're talking about this stuff. Because people are saying, "Oh, the unemployment rate is so low right now," and that's because there's a lot of demand in labor at warehouses, man.
The economy's big, man.
Yeah,
Shit's coming in from China, trade. This whole shit with tariffs and shit. I don't think it really impacts anything because shit's always gonna be moving. You
Yeah.
know, shit's always gonna be coming in. We're exporting, importing. It's